Ja Morant is a jump shot away from being a superstar. Let's get into this. Coming out of college, Ja Morant was one of the most hyped prospects going into the NBA. Ja was a highlight waiting to happen. He had crazy posterizing dunks and insanely athletic layups around the rim as well. He was also crossing people over game after game, and he was really just taking the college basketball league by storm. Going into the NBA after being drafted second overall to the Memphis Grizzlies, the expectations were absolutely sky high, and somehow he actually ended up exceeding his expectations, which was incredible. In Ja's rookie season, he ended up averaging a really good almost 18 points per game, 7.3 assists per game, 4 rebounds per game, and a pretty efficient 48% from the field. Coming out of Murray State, one of the really only criticisms of Ja Morant's game, one of the main ones, was the fact that Ja Morant wasn't going up against the best in college, and maybe when he transitioned to the NBA, he wouldn't look as good as he did in college, especially due to the fact that he was going up against far inferior teams. In the March Madness tournament, Ja Morant really silenced a bunch of haters just due to the fact of how well he played in that tournament, and obviously he was going up against the league's best, or the college's best. But now, especially in his rookie season, he really silenced all the haters because he had an absolutely incredible rookie season and ended up winning Rookie of the Year that year. In Ja's rookie season, he didn't only put up numbers, his team was also winning, and he was flashing his crazy athletic abilities to get to the basket and still dunk on NBA players, which is extremely impressive considering every NBA player is obviously stronger and more athletic than the college players he was playing against, and the fact that he was still doing this to players really showed how athletic and quick off his feet this guy truly is. When you watch Ja play basketball in the NBA, a few things really stand out to you. First, obviously he's extremely athletic, and that's probably his best trait, and he uses that athleticism extremely well to get to the basket and get by his defenders, as well as when he's at the basket, he posterized dunks people. On top of, he has a very great layup package where he's very crafty with it and gets around defenders that way as well. But obviously athleticism doesn't do it just on his own. There's been plenty of really promising rookie guys who came into the league from college who had elite athleticism but never ended up panning out as anything in the league. I can name after name, but the reason is if you're just athletic, that's not enough in the NBA. You really have to have other skills because everybody in the NBA is very athletic. Now, besides Ja's athleticism, he obviously has a ton of other skills that make him so great. The next skill that I want to get to that he has is he really does have above average ball handling, especially for his position at that point guard spot where you really need that type of ball handling. And that ball handling, along with that athleticism and layup package and all those crafty finishes around the rim, really makes him such a great slasher in this league and very difficult to stop. You see the top defenders on this guy when you talk about Marcus Smart, Patrick Beverley, whoever you want to talk about, and no one could really contain this guy. He's just too crafty with his handling getting to the basket, and when he gets to the basket, he's either going to posterize your center or just get around your center and make a very crafty layup. But on top of all those skills slashing to the basket and getting not easy buckets but buckets getting to the basket, what really separates him from a lot of other guys who have similar skill sets to that, not as athletic as Ja Morant, but there's obviously a few other guys who are pretty good getting to the rim and getting by their defenders, but what separates him is his playmaking ability on top of that. Ja Morant is clearly a well above average passer in this league, and that's one of the biggest reasons why the Memphis Grizzlies have really overperformed, especially last year. This year they were kind of hit with the injury bug and they're not as good, but they're starting to round into form a little bit coming into the close of the season. But really last year is really what blew me away. The fact that they had very low expectations as a team, and obviously Ja Morant was playing so well, along with they have a lot of other very nice players on their team. But I think the fact that Ja Morant was such a good playmaker really brought everything together and really was a driver to the reason why the Memphis Grizzlies well overperformed last year and made it to the playoffs. Well, I should say the play-in tournament, they ended up choking a little bit late and the Portland Trailblazers ended up taking their spot in the playoffs. But either way, they really overperformed. No one thought they would be anywhere near the play-in tournament, nonetheless be very close to making the playoffs. Ja Morant, obviously, as I said, is a super big threat driving to the basket, so the defense usually collapses on him just due to the fact that he's able to blow by his initial defender most of the time, honestly, and he's able able to also kick out to wide open teammates in the corner, and he's some really good shooters on his team as well. So that really was one of the biggest reasons, I think, why they were winning so much last year and really overperformed. And this season, Ja Morant has improved a little bit, where he added a few more moves to his game, where now he has a little floater that every point guard in the NBA really needs to have. When you want to put that little floater up quickly over big men, I think is a very effective move. So I'm very happy to see that Ja Morant really learned how to hit a floater and really incorporated it into his game. But this season compared to last season, Ja Morant's numbers are basically identical, which is fine, by the way. He's putting up incredible numbers for a second-year guy. Even though he was a number 2 overall pick, he's obviously not underperforming. He's putting up great numbers. But obviously the Memphis Grizzlies obviously regressed a lot since last year, where they were playing extremely well. But I think that's more due to just injuries. They lost Triple J for most of the year. He just came back recently and they started to play a little bit better now, or actually a lot better. So I think that was really one of the biggest reasons why they weren't as good as last season. I don't think it's anything to worry about with Ja Morant, that he's not playing well anymore or whatever. I think it's just due to injuries mostly. Ja Morant is obviously an extremely good player right now, but what I really think could take him to the next level and really make him a very true superstar for years to come in this league. I think he's going to get to this anyway, just based on he's playing. But what I really think he needs to have in order to really get that respect from everybody in the NBA is a true jump shot. That's one thing you can say about Ja Morant. He's been okay. Well, honestly, a little under than okay. He's not been great from deep. He's not a great shooter. That's definitely one of the criticisms you can say about Ja Morant's game, and that's something I really would like to see him improve on from years to come. In Ja Morant's rookie season, he shot 33% from deep, which is definitely under average, and he really needed to improve that. But this season, he got even worse. He shot an atrocious 29% from deep, which is really bad. He really has to look to improve his three-point ability. If he was a better shooter, it would just help every other aspect of his game, because when you see players guarding him, now they realize they could just back off him because he's not a great three-point shooter. He's a very under-average three-point shooter, so they could just back off him and they're not worried about him hitting threes. And obviously that makes it harder to get to the basket. It makes it harder to get to the basket and get everyone to close in on him, and he kicks out to wide open teammates. Everything is harder just due to the fact that everybody knows he can't shoot. It's definitely not going to be an overnight thing. Ja Morant really has to work on it and get slightly better each and every year. But the fact that he started off pretty poor and he got even worse is not really a good sign for him. Now, maybe this year is kind of a wash. There's so many injuries. They're not playing as well as they really should. So I would really look to see next season how he's shooting and if he's progressing in his jump shot to really see if he's working on it. Players of Ja Morant's archetype, guys like John Wall and other athletic guys like that, Russell Westbrook, usually don't come into the NBA as great shooters, actually pretty bad shooters, and some of them work really hard to get a little bit better. Westbrook's not the best example because he's actually an atrocious three-point shooter as well, but a guy like John Wall, who's slowly gotten a little bit better, and now especially his mid-range shot is very, very reliable, and you really saw the work that he put in terms of at least his mid-range jump shot to get better. I would just really like to see Ja Morant really get in the gym, and I'm sure he will, and just work on his jump shot with a really good shooting coach and get slightly better each and every year. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think Ja Morant could potentially be a jump shot away from being a perennial superstar, or do you think Ja Morant isn't that good and he's more of just an all-star type guy, or maybe even less than that? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.